Welcome back to the channel. Today we're taking a deep dive into the current problems facing the UK economy. We'll explore everything from the size of the GDP and the sectors driving economic activity to the revenue pressures on local councils and why some of them are effectively bankrupt. We'll also examine how Brexit, COVID and long-term austerity have shaped this situation and what it means for the future of UK business. Let's jump right in. The UK's gross domestic product, the value of all goods and services produced, stands at around £2.7 trillion in recent estimates. However, it isn't just the overall size that matters, but what makes up that GDP. The economy is overwhelmingly dominated by the services sector, which accounts for about 80% of the country's gross value added. The heavy reliance on services is both a strength and a vulnerability. On one hand, the UK is one of the world's top financial hubs. On the other, this concentration leaves the economy exposed if global financial conditions or consumer trends change. When we talk about revenue generation, the services sector is the clear leader. Industries like finance, business services and real estate drive most of the economic output. For example, real estate, largely driven by imputed rents, and retail together contribute a significant share to the UK's GDP. In contrast, sectors such as manufacturing and construction have been struggling. Production output has fallen in recent months and business investment in these areas remains lackluster. This imbalance is a key structural challenge. Strong service growth masks the underperformance of other essential sectors, affecting overall productivity and trade balances. Tax revenue is a vital lifeline for the government. In 2023/24, tax receipts, primarily from income tax, national insurance contributions, and VAT, amount to roughly 40% of GDP, the highest level since the early 1980s. However, the system faces significant challenges. The tax collection figures often fall short of the projections and needs set by government spending requirements, especially when considering rising costs in public services and the burden of balancing budgets. For example, business rates and council tax collections sometimes lag behind what councils need, leading to deficits that force them to make drastic spending cuts. There are nearly 400 local councils across England, not to mention the separate bodies in Scotland, Wales and Northern Ireland. These councils are on the front line. They're responsible for local planning, housing, education, waste collection, social care, libraries and much more. Over recent years, many councils have come under extreme financial pressure. The local government funding crisis is well documented. Between 2010 and 2020, central government grants for local councils in England fell dramatically, forcing councils to rely more on local taxes like council tax and business rates. This underfunding, combined with rising costs in social care and unexpected expenditures, has led several councils to issue what's known as a Section 114 notice. Although local authorities cannot technically go bankrupt, issuing a Section 114 notice means they must stop non-essential spending because their forecast spending will exceed available funds. Nottingham City Council issued a notice in November 2023 after forecasting a significant overspend, largely driven by increased social care costs and rising homelessness. Birmingham City Council in September 2023 faced a forecast deficit exacerbated by massive equal pay liabilities and problematic IT investments. Croydon, Woking and Northamptonshire all have experienced similar financial crises, largely due to long-term underfunding, risky property investments and increased expenditure on social care. These issues are not isolated. They stem from decades of austerity measures exacerbated by the economic shocks of Brexit and the COVID-19 pandemic, which increased demand for public services while simultaneously cutting the funding available. Let's talk about the twin shocks that have reshaped the UK economy. First, Brexit. Since the 2016 referendum, leaving the EU has disrupted trade flows, increased administrative costs, and led many businesses to relocate or reduce investment. Trade volumes have declined, and the manufacturing sector has particularly felt the pinch. Then came COVID-19. The pandemic forced a sharp contraction in economic activity, especially in production. while creating massive additional spending requirements for public health and social care. Even though the services sector managed to hold up, the overall productivity and output of sectors like manufacturing and construction have suffered. Together, Brexit and COVID have compounded long-standing structural problems in the UK economy, including low productivity and weak business investment. Looking ahead, the future of the UK economy remains a mixed picture. On one hand, government initiatives such as infrastructure spending and potential tax reforms proposed by Chancellor Rachel Reeves aim to stimulate growth. However, underlying issues like low productivity, trade deficits in goods and the over-reliance on a few sectors continue to pose challenges. UK business ownership is another key factor. The landscape is dominated by private enterprises, with a strong concentration in the services sector. While SMEs form the backbone of the economy, there is a notable concentration of power and revenue in large corporations, especially in finance and professional services. Despite various tax incentives designed to encourage investment, overall business investment has remained subdued. This uneven distribution of ownership and revenue may further hinder balanced economic growth. To sum up, the UK economy is facing deep-seated structural challenges. While the services sector drives most of the revenue and overall GDP, the reliance on a few dominant segments leaves the country vulnerable, especially when key sectors like manufacturing and construction underperform. Meanwhile, the tax system is under pressure and local councils are struggling to fund essential services due to decades of austerity compounded by Brexit and COVID. The outlook is uncertain. The government's future policies will need to address not just short-term deficits but also these long-term structural issues. For businesses and taxpayers alike, the goal is to foster a more diversified and resilient economy that can weather shocks and deliver sustainable growth. Thanks for watching. If you found this analysis useful, please hit the like button, subscribe for more in-depth economic breakdowns, and leave your thoughts in the comments below.